You know that feeling when you're on a flight? After all that shaky, bumpy climbing, suddenly the plane just levels out. Everything gets smooth, quiet, and you feel like you're just gliding along at incredible speed. Well, that's the jet stream. And it's not just for planes. It's the goal for any business, that state of peak performance. The thing is, so many companies just never get there. So let's dive into a framework that's all about getting your business to that perfect cruising altitude.
This right here, this quote from a CEO just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures a feeling so many leaders know deep down. From the outside, you look like a success story, right? But on the inside, it feels like you're running in place. It's this constant, exhausting grind. You're pushing the engine into the red, making a ton of noise, but you're just not getting the forward thrust you should be. It's more than just tiring. It's a massive sign that you're stuck in some serious turbulence.
So, there's a name for this feeling. The source material calls it the gravity of the grind. And it's a perfect description, right? It's this powerful, invisible force that just seems to hold good companies back, keeping them from becoming truly great. I mean, take the story of a CEO named Mallory. Her company's numbers were totally flat. And this was despite having a brilliant strategy and hiring a team of all-stars. Everyone was working their tails off, but it just felt like they were all rowing in completely different directions. She was just stuck in this chaos. So what's really going on here? What's the root cause?
Okay, so it turns out this grind is really fueled by two, let's call them silent killers of growth. First up, we've got the strategy execution gap. You know the one. That amazing, brilliant plan you make in the boardroom. Yeah, by the time Monday morning rolls around, it's like it never even happened. Then there's the perception reality gap. This is where leaders think they know what's going on, but the reality on the front lines is totally different. You know, you believe that new system is a game changer, but your team secretly knows it's an absolute nightmare. When you have these two gaps, you create this vicious cycle where you're basically just fighting your own business every single day.
All right, so here's our flight plan for the rest of this explainer. We've talked about being stuck in the turbulence. Now we're going to get into the core solution, the dual transformation imperative. Then we'll look at your aircraft and flight crew, the 4 pillars that make it all work, and finally, your flight plan to put it into action.
Okay, Section 1, stuck in the turbulence. We've pretty much set the scene, right? You're stuck fighting that gravity of the grind. It's all about constant friction, painful growth, and a team that's just not on the same page. So, how do we start to pull up and climb out of this mess?
And that leads us right into our next section. And honestly, this is the absolute heart of the entire framework. It's called the dual transformation imperative. This is the big idea, the fundamental shift in thinking that lets a business finally break free and really start to climb. So this forces us to ask a really important question. What is the real problem here? Is it the business systems themselves, or is it the people who are leading them? I mean, think about it. For decades, we've always treated these things separately. Got a sales problem? Hire a sales guy. Team not gelling? Okay, send him to a leadership workshop. But what if that's all wrong? What if the problem isn't one or the other? What if it's both happening at the very same time?
And boom, that is the core idea right there, the dual transformation imperative. You simply cannot separate the machine from the people flying it. You have to upgrade the aircraft, that's all your systems, your processes, your tech, and you have to develop the flight crew, your leadership team's actual skills, their trust in each other, their communication, and you have to do it simultaneously. Trying to fix one without the other is just a recipe for disaster.
All right, let's unpack that idea a bit more. This next section is all about your aircraft and flight crew. Really getting this analogy is the key to making this whole thing click.
So it's pretty simple when you break it down. On one side, you've got the aircraft. Just think of this as all the hardware of your business. Your systems, your processes, your tech stack, your financial models. It's the what. Then on the other side, you've got the flight crew. This is the human side of the equation. It's your leadership team's ability to communicate, to strategize, to trust each other. They're the who. And the whole argument here is that you can't have lasting success unless the capability of your team matches the sophistication of your systems.
And here's exactly why that balance is so critical. Think about it. If you have A players, I mean total rock stars, stuck in a B system, what happens? They just get burned out fighting clunky, broken processes day after day. And eventually, they're going to leave. But the reverse is just as catastrophic. Imagine you build this incredible, state-of-the-art A system, but you have a B-player leadership team. Well, that sophisticated machine is just going to sit there on the tarmac, collecting dust, because nobody is actually qualified to fly it.
So, okay, how does all this come together into an actual usable system?
We've spent a lot of time on the why you need to work on both at once. Now let's get into the what. What does this system actually look like? That brings us to the 4 pillars.
The whole operating system is built on these 4 pillars, and they all work together. First, you've got directional mastery. Think of this as your navigation system. It's way more than a fuzzy mission statement. It's a crystal clear, numbers-driven vision of where you're going. Second, collective flourishing. This is all about building that world-class flight crew, a leadership team that's high trust and high performance. Third is foundational fortitude. This is the unshakable airframe of your aircraft. It's the boring but absolutely vital stuff, like clean financials and stable operations. And finally, number 4, process ingenuity. These are the engines, the things that create real momentum and turn how you do business into a massive competitive advantage.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. 4 pillars, that sounds like a lot, and it can feel a little overwhelming, which is exactly why this last section is so crucial. This isn't about trying to boil the ocean and do everything at once. It's about having a practical, step-by-step flight plan.
And here is the secret sauce to actually making it happen. The transformation doesn't come from some massive, scary, year-long project. Instead, you implement it through a series of focused, intensive 6-week sprints. It's a super agile approach, and it's all designed to build momentum. You know, it's kind of like pushing one of those giant, heavy flywheels. The first push is the hardest, but every push after that gets a little bit easier, and soon it's spinning on its own.
And what's so brilliant about this method is that it completely replaces that feeling of being stuck, that inertia you get from overwhelming plans, with the actual energy you get from real, tangible wins. In every single 6-week cycle, your team just focuses on getting better at 1 or 2 specific things. That's it. You get a small victory, that victory builds belief in the system, and that belief creates the fuel you need to crush the next sprint.
And that really brings us full circle. We've talked about the problem, that awful gravity of the grind. We've talked about the solution, that dual transformation of upgrading the aircraft and the flight crew at the same time. And now you've seen the plan for how to actually do it. So the path to the Jetstream is clear. The knowledge is here, the flight plan is filed, the control tower is giving you the green light. You are cleared for takeoff. The only question left is, what's your first move?